And speaking of the other game we didn't hit on, Shane. I mean, man, I wanted this one bad for Auburn, but they fall 17-13 in the Birmingham Bowl. It was a sellout crowd. Vast majority of them was Auburn Tigers, and Houston was ranked number 20. This is always my favorite when a 6-6 SEC team beats a 11-win Conference USA, whatever the hell league they're in. And they're ranked, and they're the best Houston team of all time. They can barely play with a 6-6 Auburn, and that's essentially what happened in this one until Houston scored with about 2.5 minutes. I think it was 3 minutes left in the game, and that was all she wrote. Man, I mean, this was as ugly as Mississippi State Texas Tech was. This one kind of was that ugly, but no one got going in this one. Aside from Tank Finley. I mean, the offense was basically, let's give it to Tank, get out of his way, see what he can make, because TJ Finley, man, plays were there to be made left and right, misfire after misfire. He looked like Joe Milton out there, overthrowing everybody and his mother. And, I hate to put it all on one player because it's never as simple as that, but, had he been able to connect on a couple of these passes, I mean, Houston would have got spanked in this game. So, man, rough year for Auburn, Shane. I mean, just look at as strange as it is. We're sitting here with a losing record to end the season, 6-7 for the Auburn Tigers. Entering the second week of November, Shane, they controlled their destiny in the SEC West. God, I mean, I just can't. I don't know if I've ever experienced something like that in the first year of an SEC head coach, and I'm not selling out on Bryan Harsin or anything like this, but if I'm an Auburn Tiger fan, I'm sitting here saying, and in credit, I wish I was looking at the tweet. Someone tweeted this at me, but the buyout, Shay, do you remember all the money they had to pay to get Gus Malzahn and his staff to go and to hire Bryan Harsin and this new staff? Any idea how much that combined figure was?
No.
$70 million. And here we got a 6-7 football team year one. So.
Hey, come on. I know. They had a lot of ups and downs, but they had some great games, Mike. I can't pile on them here. I will tell you this: when Austin Davis takes this job, I hope the one disclaimer he had was, "Hey, we better hit the transfer portal for a quarterback because TJ is not our guy." I mean, if that's not more obvious in a bowl game situation here, especially like you said, when Tank was just having his way with everybody, he was a force to be reckoned with. The box was loaded, and you cannot get anybody downfield. I mean, some of these passes that were made, they were just god-awful. For every good pass he had 3 bad ones. So I don't like to pile on the kid, but I did. I did. The fact of the matter is Auburn hasn't had a good quarterback since Cam Newton. And that's the thing, man. I mean, these guys there's a reason Gus isn't there. There's not been any development since Cam. You know what I'm saying? They get all these big names that come in. This is going to be Bo Nix was the latest. He was going to come in and set the world on fire. And we're just not seeing any progression. And we're not seeing it through the different coaches. We're not seeing it through the different coordinators. That's what Auburn needs. Auburn is one good quarterback away from being a 10-win team easily. I think this year, if they had good quarterback play, because you saw it when Bo was on, Auburn would win. When he was off, they would fail. So they need some consistency back there, but they also need a quarterback whisperer. And I'm not saying that's what they're getting from our boy from Seattle, but you look when he first got there to the Seahawks, what he was able to do with Russell Wilson, and of course, they all got glowing things to say about the coach as he's leaving, but his first year up there, I mean, the man was playing. I'm a huge fantasy football lover, man. I wish I had Russell Wilson that year. So if he can do something like that or something similar down here in Auburn, then I think they'll be all right. But the message has got to be out there, Mike, that the job is open. The starting quarterback is not on that roster currently. I'm watching some of these kids at Texas Tech. I'm watching the kid right across the on the other side there at Houston. I would have rather had him suited up. You had him suited up, you would have won this game.
Yeah, without a doubt. And, that's the position Auburn finds itself, Shane. And like you said, we're not trying to pile on Harsin. It's not necessarily all his fault because I don't want to call it the mess because there's plenty of talent there. Auburn had a stingy defense. I know they were down a number of guys, but hell, this defense, I thought for the most part, they balled out here against Houston. I know they allowed the touchdown there late in the game, but there was questionable calls that opened the door for Houston to score there at the end. But aside from Tank Bigsby, though, it's almost like a total rebuild on the offensive side. It's not just the quarterback; it's the offensive line. We're lacking receivers. I mean, we may have the best running back, the most talented running back in the SEC, but what else we got around him? And Bryan Harsin's supposed to be this offensive guru. He comes out here, he fires Mike Bobo after 1 year. He's bringing in his guy to recruit and coach quarterbacks. Now it's on him, man. And I don't know if you caught this comment. We'll play it here in just a second, Shane. But Bryan Harsin said, in this year, my only year with Auburn, I learned more about football than I ever have coaching in my entire career, my entire playing career. And I don't know, I if he's being transparent, I appreciate the fact he's being transparent, but I don't know if I want to, if I'm a fan of Auburn, I'm sitting here saying, my God, this he just made that comment. I don't know. What do you think about Harsin coming out here and saying, I learned more about football than I ever knew this one season here?
Well, it's the SEC, Mike. I mean, this is the most competitive conference. That's why it drives me nuts. We lose these bowl games because there's no reason we should. We're just every game that I've watched, there's been more talent on our side than their side, and we just not brought it to the stage, which frustrates you. And I think this is a lesson, man. This is a lesson for Harsin too, because you see teams like where he came from compete in these bowl games. You watch teams like Texas Tech, they came in ready to play. You watch teams like Army, they came in ready to play. SEC teams, they don't. They don't, and that's why we're fumbling out of the gate here. So I think this is what maybe I'm taking it as maybe this is another life lesson. This is something that he can better prepare his program moving forward, because this isn't the last bowl game that Harsin's going to be taking them to. So I don't know. I'm not reading into it too much. I did like some of the comments you made about the defense. I thought, man, those boys, they were playing very aggressive. It was fun to see a fiery SEC squad out there. And how the hell Smoke didn't land an NIL deal with Target, I have no idea, Mike, because that guy has got to be leading the league in most reviews for targeting. Am I right? I mean, he's got to be up there.
It's funny that you said that, because your brother, I was watching the game with him. He said he made the similar comment, but he was wondering how Marlboro cigarettes had not gotten smoked Mondays and ideal. So it gives you an idea where their mind's at. They're all thinking about the money, but
I'm trying to get them paid, Mike.
No, I'm most disappointed just for our seniors, for our team, and what I see. There's a lot of fixable things. There's a lot of things out there that I know we can be much better at, and so. That's the reality of it. Is it something that we can come back and address and it's very fixable? Absolutely. Is it something that we have to be aware of at all times? Yes. And finishing games is a big part of that, which it's not so much about finishing games as it is just consistent execution. So you got to sustain the effort and focus necessary to be successful in the game. And the fourth quarter happens to be the one that gets magnified because it's the last quarter of the game, but it's a continuation of the execution that you should have throughout the entire 4 quarters. In my opinion, we're not as consistent as we need to be, and those are fixable things, and we'll fix them.
Yeah, Brian, TJ had some really great throws and then missed some guys downfield too. What were some of the encouraging things that you saw from him, and what do you sort of want to work on most with him this offseason going forward?
Well, yeah, the encouraging things are the throws he made, the ones that he didn't. We just got to give our guys a chance. And sometimes, the wind's a little bit of a factor at times. And, there's obviously there's pressure. It's not like you drop back and set your feet every throw. You're sliding, you're moving. There's all these little factors that just you have to adjust. So there's always little tiny tweaks at that position that you're just maneuvering through in a particular play. And at the same time, we still got to give those guys opportunities. And I know he knows that. I thought the decision-making wasn't bad. He was going to the right guy. So we were making the right decisions. We were throwing to the right guys. Now we got to execute a little bit better on the throws. And
Coach, I asked you this yesterday. You said you had a game to be played before you could really assess. But overall this season, just kind of, I know you just got off the field and you have some time to think, but what's the message to Auburn fans as well going into next year and the future of Auburn football?
Well, again, I'm still not going to assess the season yet until you actually have a chance to go back and truly dive into what did you learn. That's really what you do. You dive into what did you learn from the year, and then you go back and evaluate every single thing. As far as our football program goes, I think there's a lot of things that we learned this year that we know we have to be better at. In order to be the type of caliber program that I think we can be, we need to have the mentality that every single day, what we do matters. And it really does. I mean, that's just, at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to. I think teams that have success and organizations that have success, then everything you do matters. So the way that we prepare, the way that we work, the way that we do things, and I thought we did a really good job of that when I first got here. We had some really good things. There was a lot of focus and attention. And as things get easier or you start to win and you have success, you have to make sure that you go back to what you were doing that worked. And so, I think depth is a factor in our football team. And, we're obviously having a chance to bring some guys in, and recruiting is a big factor. All right, that never ends. And so, we'll continue with that. But we're not going to stop. I mean, that's the beauty of it. I told those guys, I learned more this season than I've learned any year I've played and coached. And so that's motivating going into the off season that, hey, these are the things that we can fix. And they're very fixable. And that's the best part. I mean, if I didn't think that they were fixable, you'd be miserable. Like, this is just how it is. Well, it's not like that. They're very fixable. There are some things as far as an attitude and a mentality that we do need to fix, not just within our team. I mean, just our program. And we're here to do that. That's the challenge. So all the things that we know we have to do, we're going to focus on that. All the things that I think from the outside perception that everyone thinks we have to do, we're going to focus on those things too. But nobody's going to go in there and just hang their head and just say, well, this is just how it is. No, we're going to change it, we're going to fix it, and we're going to get better. At the end of the day, I mean, there is no plan B, right? There's plan A, and we're here to make this work. And we got a staff and a group of players that are all willing to do whatever it takes to make it work. So at the end of the day, that's it. And so, we'll be driven, we'll be motivated, whatever extra pressure that's not really going to be needed to be applied, because we already feel that. We want to win, and we want to be successful, and Auburn football should, in my opinion. So there's things to clean up, there's a lot to do, and, we're here to do it. So
I do not enjoy covering this when these SEC teams lose, Shane. So
no,
I'm about done, ready to talk about this one. I'm ready to move on to on the next episode. We'll be breaking down South Carolina, North Carolina, Tennessee, Purdue, and of course the big ones, the college football semifinals: Alabama, Cincinnati, Michigan, Georgia. That'll be on the next episode. You got anything before we hop off? Because I'm about to start crying here.
No. Hey, I'll tell you, man, the CDC thing is a big deal, Mike. I think,
Oh, yeah.
Especially the NFL now, they immediately switched theirs to 5 days. Expect college to follow suit. So, you're worried about some of these kids opting out. I mean, nothing's worse. I feel bad. You think you feel bad right now as a SEC? Think about being a fan of UCLA or that other, just you made all these plans. Yeah, you made all these plans. You get out there. I mean, think about this. You cancel a game 5 hours for kickoff. I mean, that's terrible. So, I mean, it could be worse. So I think that's like silver lining that's playing, because maybe we're going to get some no more opt-outs, that sort of thing. And you're going to notice more competitive games moving forward. So I'm not – it's a rough start. It's a rough start, buddy, but some of these teams, the SEC teams, they barely got in. You know what I'm saying? We got some juggernauts coming up, and I'm looking at that Cincinnati spread at 13.5 still, and I'm surprised it ain't moved, but I just think Alabama's going to come out wolf some ass. I think Georgia's going to come out wolf some ass. I think my Tennessee Vols are about to put Purdue through her. I think we're going to see some really good games here. I want to see South Carolina beat North Carolina. I want to see it all, Mike. We got to win out. I want to see the fight, like that UCF-Florida game, that fight after, that's the attitude I want to see during a game. You know what I'm saying? So we got 9 more opportunities. If we walk away from this thing 9-4, we're going to be happy as an SEC fan.
Oh, yeah, last thing, Shane, I'm glad you brought up that point because I did want to make this announcement here with the with all the COVID stuff. But Bill O'Brien, Doug Marrone, Alabama coaches, they're already with the team, ready for the game. JT Daniels, George Pickens, already down there with the team, ready for the game. So I think you're onto something, Shane. I think we're doing good. I'm not hearing anything behind the scenes that any other SEC games at this point in time, any danger of being canceled. So fingers crossed we get all the rest of the SEC bowl games. And, I think I'll leave it at that one. But I do appreciate you, Shane, hopping on the line as always. And I appreciate each and every one of you for checking us out. We'll be back with some more bowl previews on the next episode. Catch you all the next one.
Yeah, COVID ain't keeping me down, baby. See you guys on the next one. Go Vols. Better luck next year.